So again, thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. Today we're talking about how to enhance efficiency and partnership with smart technology. This webinar is brought to you in partnership with BeerBoard. My name is Nate Tarantino, and I am the Director of Partnerships here at Encompass, and I also have the pleasure of being today's host. With me is a very esteemed panel. As you see here on the slide, we have Mark Young, CEO and founder of BeerBoard, Todd Morillo, Director of Sales Technology with Eagle Rock Distributing Company, and John Lane, owner of Winking Lizard Tavern, chain of restaurants in Ohio. We're very excited to be speaking with you all today. Quick snapshot of today's agenda. We're going to be taking a quick chat through today's market landscape, really talking about the conditions that are leading to the necessity for this partnership between Encompass and BeerBoard to really enable the ordering challenges and enable the ordering efficiencies to really respond to today's market conditions. Mark is going to take us through a quick snapshot of what SmartOrders is with BeerBoard for those of you that might be newer to that platform. And then we're going to save as much time as we can to really open up the conversation with the panel and talk about the real life experience and realized efficiencies gained by both Eagle Rock as well as John at Winking Tavern. Quick housekeeping notes. As we go through the presentation, if you have any questions, please go ahead and log those in the Q&A section of the Zoom meeting. We will have dedicated time towards the end to talk to get through those questions. So thank you in advance for logging your questions there. Today's session will be recorded and will be shared out upon completion of the webinar. Awesome. Let's go ahead and jump in. So high level, today's market landscape, right? I think all of these dynamics are things that we're all experiencing in one way or another, whether you're a distributor, a supplier, or a retailer. Really, the big things that lead to the complexity with servicing retailer and on-premise accounts really today is complex portfolio, right? We all have seen portfolio counts grow, SKU mixes, never ending, right? A lot of different new products coming in for different suppliers, and just the complexity of managing not only the inventory of that, but also informing and educating the sales teams to be able to take all of those new brands to market. Mix that in with growing service demands, right? We've got new retailers opening up constantly. We've got service windows that we have to hit, logistical challenges that wholesalers are always constantly trying to balance, which really necessitates smarter ways that we go to market and wholesalers partner with retailers to collect those orders, keep track on inventory, and making sure those deliveries are being made on time. And then, of course, changing consumer preferences, right? We see this constantly with all of the macro data we see from IRI and Nielsen. We're seeing blurring of categories, beer, wine, and spirits, portfolios being made up of some combination of the three. And so really trying to use data from point of sale, from the bar itself to inform the most accurate orders and really stay ahead of those changes to make sure that our SKU mix is staying aligned with those consumer changes. And then challenging labor conditions, right? This is a condition that is shared across all tiers in the industry, from service staff at restaurants and bars, to sales reps and delivery drivers at wholesale, and then the suppliers being able to efficiently partner with wholesalers in taking that demand forecast and making sure that there's a sufficient inventory to meet it, right? Again, really necessitates a smarter way of how we partner and make sure that the product is getting to the right place at the right time. And then, of course, fluctuation in on-premise volume, right? 4 years ago, crazy world changes with COVID. Really drove a change in on-premise traffic and volume, seasonality, continuing to always drive variability in ordering patterns. And so again, another way that with data and with seamless technology and integrating that data back and forth between an ordering platform and RAS, we're able to respond to those fluctuations in a much more dynamic way. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mark, who's going to talk a little bit more about SmartOrders and the technology that BeerBoard has and provides to retailers to be able to respond to these conditions.
Sounds good. Appreciate it, Nate. Glad to be on, and I'll try to keep it relatively brief here so we can hear from Todd and John and have a good discussion. But I will I'll kind of piggyback what you mentioned about challenges with labor and fluctuating volumes and all the information and the abundance of products that are tracked at restaurants. Our focus at BeerBoard is really to help operators reduce the amount of time and labor they spend on tracking inventory. So bring automation to the inventory, and also at the same time, just give them better information. So we bring structure to their alcohol program. So with better structure, we can give them more timely information, and we can give them more accurate information. And it's great to have John Lane on here who can kind of talk about the before and after, pre-BeerBoard and after BeerBoard. But effectively, we help them track all their volume. We focused on beer when we first started, was on draft. We use sensors to track every pour at the bar, and we integrate with their point of sale systems and their back office systems. So with all that data, we're able to give John and his team better information to make faster decisions, control their losses. And post-COVID, we took all that data and we put an ordering platform on top of it called SmartOrders, as you mentioned, Nate. So we really, the focus is to take, again, we start with beer, and we now manage all liquor, beer, and wine for the operator. We help them manage this information, update menus, make better decisions, and now streamline the whole ordering and inventory management process. I'll pause there, and I'll maybe even if John Lane wants to comment on that, just on a kind of a pre and a post, just to give you a real life example of winking lizard.
Yeah, we we started with just the inventory piece in the beginning with draft, and I thought we were good at pouring 1-inch heads. We weren't that good. We've dropped 2 points off of our draft cost. And as draft pricing has gone up, it's critical that we're able to really measure that on a shift by shift basis. And now our bartenders all know that we're monitoring it, and that the managers have it right at their command, right on their cell phones. So they're able to look and see what's off track, and they're able to go right to the bartenders and say, hey, something's off. You're pouring such and such beer, you gave this away, or so it's really helped in the beginning, for sure. It's really helped on waste. And then now we're using it for ordering. So, and I guess I'll get into that later, but it's really streamlined our ordering process as well.
Right. So just to summarize, I mean, the bottom line is we're helping them understand their movements, what they're selling, what they're pouring, and then from that information, we can help them make better decisions on things that might not be, moving fast enough, that they might need to cut, and also on a weekly basis, exactly what they need to order to replenish stock in a more accurate way.
Yeah, thanks, John and Mark. That's great insight. So as we think about the integration, Mark, between BeerBoard and Encompass, really, the critical link here is with all that data that is feeding faster decisions and more informed decisions, it's communicating that data to the distributor for efficient fulfillment. And so what we're seeing here is just a little bit of a wireframe of the partnership and the integration that has been put in place to really enable and bring this vision to life. And so with the power of Encompass, we're providing products, pricing, and inventory to BeerBoard with you guys then instead hosting that information in SmartOrders, taking that rate of sale data, providing it to John and his team, giving them recommended orders, and then those orders being seamlessly transmitted through DSD Link over to Encompass or Eagle Rock in this case. So talk to us a little bit, Mark, about the integration and really how it enables BeerBoard and ultimately retailers to efficiently work with Encompass distributors?
Yeah, so this has been a great partnership with Encompass, and really, it's great that to have distributors like Eagle Rock and Encompass, who's a great tech partner of the distributors, to really see this full vision. So essentially taking this information that now we help John manage all his products, and we're able now to connect it directly with Eagle Rock or a distributor, so that they could track their depletions, use that to place their actual orders, send the orders in, receive it back, all without manual intervention or the old, punching in orders into a text message and then having to place those and type them into their back office system. This is able now to communicate directly to Eagle Rock in their actual language, right? Their SKUs. So we convert that information so it can speak to Eagle Rock SKUs, bring that information and that order back into John's environment as a retailer, and help them update and maintain an automated perpetual inventory. So with that inventory and with the rates of sale that we're collecting, we can help them better place more accurate orders, and also do that in a way that, Encompass is enabling a distributor now to consume that order the way they want to receive it, right? And then send the invoice electronically and get all their pricing. If there's quantity discounts, all of that can be done through the software, as opposed to, as John Lane would say, instead of using stubby pencils and trying to run this information and figure it out. So, maybe Todd could talk to that as well on the Eagle Rock side.
I'd be happy to. We're most excited about the possibility of having what we call the non-selling functions removed from our sales reps. That being the inventory piece and the order fulfillment piece together, and really repurposing their time and their intention back to being of more value to our retailer partners. There was a time and a place where counting boxes and basic order fulfillment was of value, but now the value's in the data. So if we can collaborate with our retailer partners via the BeerBoard interface and talk about what the consumer is actually buying, what products are actually moving, I think our value to the retailer is actioning on that data and being much more responsible with it, and being more accurate with our orders.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. That's fantastic. And we'll certainly get into more examples here shortly. But before we move on, Todd, maybe just give a sense to the audience of the lift it took on Eagle Rock to really enable the integration with BeerBoard.
We've always viewed Encompass as our single source of truth, and we kind of continue down that path with any partners that we have. What we want to avoid is having our reps having to interface with multiple screens, multiple apps. So the integration between BeerBoard and Encompass was a crucial element of this partnership, and it's been seamless thus far. And has been extremely beneficial to how our reps interact with the data and the orders that come in.
Yeah, that's great. I think, this a key advantage with the Encompass platform that really enables this for BeerBoard is the leveraging DSD Link as the source of order entry, which really helps all of the orders fit within the existing order intake flow that you, Todd, and Eagle Rock are already accustomed to. So regardless of if it's a DSD Link order, if it's a BeerBoard placed order, really the end experience of how you interact with that order is essentially the same. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yep. Awesome. Great. Well, let's keep this flowing. So we got a handful of questions kind of already prepped for the panel here. But again, as a reminder, if you have any questions, go ahead and list that or get those posted in the Zoom Q&A section as well. And so, John, I want to loop back to you. I think Mark really intimated at it a little bit of how you guys were able to realize some profit recovery through more accurate pours and perhaps lower waste. What was the feedback from your GMs, and how has this partnership or has BeerBoard really enhanced your ordering process and how you and your team interface with distributors?
Well, I can tell you, like any time you roll out software with restaurant managers, I mean, their job is to be on the front lines and take care of the people that are on the front lines, whether they're a server, a bartender, a host, or a cook. Um, you know, versus dealing with a new piece of software. You know, you definitely get the rolling of the eyes, the okay, I'll believe it when I see it. And so anytime you roll anything like this big, we've got 15 restaurants and about 1,000 employees, and you're trying to roll something out, there are bumps in the road. But once you get rid of those bumps in the road, they see how more efficient it is and how you know, the time that they used to waste having to drop what they're doing when a rep comes in and tries to take an order from them. It's kind of, you know, it's a waste of time, to be honest with you. It's a waste of time for the wholesaler, and it's a waste of time for us because, you know, independent restaurants might be a little bit different, but as a chain, I like to say, yeah, we're a democracy in the USA, but when it comes to my beer list, I'm a dictator. And so the the managers are basically just placing orders. They're not being sold anything. Everything that's being sold is being sold to me. So how can we make that more efficient? Well, we had been doing it on the food side for a while. We use Cisco, and so everything's ordered online. It's very simple. There's an order guide, and they go with that. And so we translated that. BeerBoard was able to, bring that over to us and make it a lot more efficient for us, so that honestly, the beverage manager can place his order with all the wholesalers at one time, and the order is shipped to that wholesaler in the time frame that they require for us to get our delivery. So instead of having to sit there and use that stubby pencil and figure out pars and all that, BeerBoard is doing that for us. So it even has recommended orders, which is awesome. It's already shown what our par should be, and it knows what our inventory is. So it makes us just a lot more efficient, where now that wholesale rep, instead of just taking an order, which I like to say a monkey can take an order these days, right? But how do you sell? We want those reps in our stores spending that 10 minutes with our team, maybe talking about one of our products, so that our team is a little more educated and take it to our guests. So it's been an absolute win-win. And if you ask my general managers today, they would say they would struggle without it.
Yeah, that's great, John. Appreciate it. And Todd, maybe give us your side of that perspective as well, right? So more time in account selling, as you put it, right? Less time doing non-selling activity. What is Eagle Rock seeing from a time savings perspective and on BeerBoard enabled accounts? And what are kind of the downstream efficiencies you're seeing in warehousing and logistics as a part of this onboarding as well?
Sure. Well, the time saving element is huge. Being able to repurpose the time that those reps spend either in a cooler, lifting kegs or shaking kegs, or walking aisles, counting boxes, and enabling them to have these eye-level business discussions with our retailers about, what is the current consumer demand, what products are moving, what products are not, what's new in the pipe for Eagle Rock, what products are coming down in the next few weeks, and starting to put ourselves in a position of true business consultation versus order fulfillment, which I think is a fantastic place for us to be. And we mentioned earlier in the presentation, speaking directly to our portfolio complexity is growing exponentially, it seems, every week. So, we're stretching our business from bev alc and beyond into salty snacks and other things. So we're really tasking our sales force to be knowledgeable on all those products and purposeful with the intent of their visit. So things like BeerBoard and similar technology and predictive ordering models all help us to be more efficient in that manner. On the logistics side, it's the it's the same goal of every wholesaler to make sure that we have not only full trucks going out every day, but the right stuff is on those trucks. So making sure that our orders are accurate is a crucial element of our business and everyone else's, but we've definitely seen improvements on both orders going out and a lack of returns coming back to the warehouse, which is huge.
Yeah, that's great. And you know, Eagle Rock in itself is pretty tech forward. You know, there's a growing list of kind of e-commerce platforms out there, right? The utilization of those platforms ranges across retailers. So really is what is Eagle Rock's philosophy in kind of managing the complexity of that e-commerce landscape and your philosophy towards you know, how you adopt them to support your retailers?
Sure. Well, we've been in the e-commerce space and developing therein for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years now. And you're right, the tech stack that we utilize is growing as well. But we've kind of taken the position of being the wholesaler of choice, if you will, meaning that the retailers have a number of options to choose from as well. And we try to remain agnostic to how the order comes to us. And we kind of let the retailer decide. So there's some organic choices being made, but we're just happy to have some great partners like you guys and BeerBoard to offer these solutions to our retailers.
That's great. And Mark, jumping back over to you, you know, the Encompass and BeerBoard partnership has been around for a little while, right? I think we continue to work together to refine the offering and drive value for everyone in the supply chain. Now that the APIs for placing orders as well as post deliveries are up and running, can you share a little bit more about what the next phase of this partnership with Encompass looks like?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been great. And now, as John said, you know, the initial kind of phase one and what Todd was mentioning is just to enable that interaction, right? So to take the labor and some of the you know, the manual touch points for both the retailer and the distributor, take that out. And like you said, we have APIs now that can send orders, get invoices back. And as Todd was kind of alluding to in terms of selling and putting a focus on that, our job is to enhance this interaction and actually make it more valuable to both parties. So we see opportunities here now, and we've talked about it now with Encompass, of bringing some of that information into the Encompass environment, so Todd and his team can consume that efficiently and come back to John Lane and retailers with some better information and education and potentially recommendations on how they can drive revenue. So we see more of the data utilization on a you know, in a go forward plan is how do we bring that efficiently to not only the corporate, you know, at Todd's level, but how can we get that information in the reps' hands efficiently? And we see that, you know, being delivered through Encompass, and I'm pretty sure Todd would agree with that that's the best way we could do it. So packaging that data and making it useful so they can help, you know, retailers like John at the store level, you know, really drive revenue. That's where we ultimately want to be. You know, we see a facilitation of the payment as well. Now that we get this connectivity with the invoice collection, can we make that you know, that experience, that interaction more efficient? And ultimately our goal is to have full traceability, right? So that a retailer or a distributor could see here's volume being sold, to what's actually being purchased, to what's being paid for. And that's now possible. I think that's what, you know, is great about this partnership with Encompass. We can really provide that traceability on both sides. So there's a lot to be done, and I think we got to continue to work with all our partners, right? Retailers are focused to help them, you know, drive efficiency and do this more effectively, but we want to do it in a way that we can really enhance what Todd and distributors are trying to accomplish as well.
That's great. And John, how does that line up with you? As you know, we talked about the market landscape and efficiencies that your team has seen. Does that line up with kind of the efficiency opportunities that you're still seeing within the workflows?
Yeah, so it's allowing us to control our inventory a lot better. I mean, we all know beer is a perishable product, and it's best served fresh. So being able to look at that and help with our power levels at a store level not only makes us more efficient with a cash flow area, but also to the guest, ensuring that they're going to get fresh product. So I think that's really, really helped us on that end, as well as for me, um, my stores might be looking at it a little bit, but I'm looking at it the broad picture. So I'm able to, BeerBoard just can separate everything even by style. So I can see what's moving and what's not moving and make some decisions as I go along. I'm an old Army guy, so I plan the year out and we march to that drum. However, if we see something moving up the ladder, I'm not afraid. We're nimble enough that we're able to make a change if we need to, because one product's, outselling another product. So it's giving me real-time information that I never had before. And I can either get it consolidated or I can get it restaurant by restaurant. So it's really been an absolute game changer for me. And I can tell you, if you're a chain buyer, you're crazy not to have it.
That's great. And Mark, maybe for the audience, give us a little bit of sense of where BeerBoard is available, and the high level process of how distributors or retailers can contact you to get started.
Yeah, I mean, I think now, Nate, I mean, you're probably gonna cover it in terms of the distributor app right at the end. That's now, I believe, is now available. We worked with Todd and a couple initial Encompass distributors. So we now have an app that can easily be accessed now from all Encompass distributors. Definitely come to our website for more information, beerboard.com. And we'd be happy to provide some demos and information to the retailers that I think there's, as we look at Todd and the Eagle Rock territory, we're now going to, bring this and offer this consolidated ordering solution to more stores and more operators in their market. That we see we can now bring even more value to Todd, as opposed to, just the chains that we're in. I mean, we're servicing quite a few chains throughout the country, and they're regionals like Winking Lizard. There's national accounts, Buffalo Wild Wings and Hooters and Twin Peaks. We're reaching a lot of retailers. We want to reach a lot more of them, and we think we can do that in partnership with our distributors that can get great information, and I think we can make their operations better as well.
Gotcha. Cool. What else, guys? Let me check Zoom to see if we have any questions. Not seeing anything yet. Anything else that we missed you wanted to bring up before we start to look at wrapping this up?
I'd like to mention just one thing that, a buzzword that man, the whole world's looking at now, right, is AI, artificial intelligence. And I see this really being able to move forward even better, with, being able to, as a on-premise guy, we all have probably a handle or two that we rotate on a regular basis. I mean, I have what I call the Beermeister handle. I rotate every month. And so being able to really dial in and, getting down to the last week or 10 days, the decision on whether the manager should order another keg or order a 6-barrel or not. I see this, taking us to that level where it's going to be able to tell us, yeah, you can safely order a half barrel, or go with a 6-barrel, so that again, we become more efficient with our guest. They're not walking into an empty handle, and we're doing service to the breweries and to the wholesalers by selling more, because there's nothing worse than an empty tap handle. So I see this AI thing really going to be able to take over on a lot of levels and make us even more efficient. And that, and I know that they're working on it, being able to look at the back end and inventory levels at the wholesalers so that we're just not getting an out of stock, that maybe they have, 6 packs of Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but they don't have 12 packs, which is what we buy. And yeah, the 6 packs might be a little more expensive, but I'd rather have my customer have the product than not have the product. So I know that's a tool coming, which we're really, really excited about, so that we can lessen those out of stocks, because out of stocks don't do anyone in the supply chain any favors whatsoever. None of us make money on an empty tap handle or an empty shelf. So really looking forward to some of these, really cool changes.
Yeah, and that's actually a good point there, John. I mean, Encompass has enabled that in which distributors now roll it out that service your stores, but Eagle Rock now does have that available, and we're actually now able to integrate that right into the experience and what to buy, and exactly to your point, using AI to make those determinations. I mean, this is a building process. We need more on it. We need more people on this integration and more integrations like it. But that's the end goal, right? Is that we can help each other out by sharing inventory and that information, because everybody on this, in this webinar right now, what's their goal, right? Ultimately, everybody wants to sell more beer, right? Whether you're a producer, a distributor, or the retailer, we're all trying to enable, this interaction, so we can all sell more beer and do it more efficiently. So Todd, I mean, you could probably talk to that, but that's, you're able now to integrate the quantity discount and promotions and your actual inventory at Eagle Rock in Colorado and Atlanta, and even inform now through our platform. You can inform the retailer what's available, which I think is a huge advancement for the industry, really.
Yeah, that collaboration and level of transparency into what we have and what we're doing has been fantastic. It makes us, well, again, I think it makes us a better partner for our retailers, and it changes the sales call dynamic for the better, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. We'll go ahead and pause for Q&A. I'm not seeing anything yet, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to get that logged or throw your hand up and we can go ahead and answer questions live. I'll give a minute or so to get those in. All right. The biggest question for me then, John, and Mark, is really how do we get started, right? So I think this is the next step. So appreciate your guys' insights and learnings as sharing it with the audience and how the efficiencies and partnership gains you've realized. I think if any Encompass distributors on the call are looking to get started, here's a quick set of instructions that you can follow. And again, this presentation will be sent out, so don't worry about furiously writing down any notes. Get started at beerboard.com, right? Or get to the BeerBoard website. It's the best way to reach out to BeerBoard if you're a retailer and interested in onboarding, or distributor and wanting to learn more. From the distributor onboarding process, Encompass is working with BeerBoard to complete that configuration. So once we hear from BeerBoard that a distributor is onboarded, we then work within DSD Link to configure your database to receive those invoice orders from BeerBoard. It's a very simple setup that can be done within minutes. So just be aware that will be an execution set that Encompass will own. And then really the final deliverable to get started here is within the app library on your database is a new application called BeerBoard Post-Delivery Invoices. So as Mark and John really mentioned, right, not only are we wanting to streamline the ordering process and inventory, but also provide efficient communication from wholesale to retail on the status of those invoices. And so this application will install a couple API commands on your database to be able to transmit essentially what are traditionally 810s to the retailer, notifying them that the invoice is on its way for delivery and the final quantities that have been submitted. And then BeerBoard does graciously offer post-implementation support. So as you get onboarded and you're looking to roll it out to more retailers, BeerBoard will be there to provide help along the way. All right. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap up. Todd, John, Mark, thank you again for your time and appreciate your guys' insights into this partnership. Mark, thank you and BeerBoard for all the partnership with Encompass, bringing the integration to life this far. And we're very excited to continue working with you to drive more value for the supply chain. So thank you everyone for attending and wish everyone a great rest of your day.
Thanks, Nate.
Thanks, everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.